Hello everybody, this is Stephen Howson, this is Full Time Devils, this is the Hull City preview. Because of the quick turnaround between this game and the Reading game, we've decided that me and Dave are just going to have a quick chat between ourselves, a bit of an intense one. We've got some questions from you guys on social media, so you guys are involved as well. So don't cry that there's not a million of us on this one, because there's a little bit of a quick turnaround to get it all sorted. So right, Dave, the first question that we've got, and this is from Matthew Griffiths on Twitter, and he says, why isn't Jose playing more youth players like Axel Tuanzebe, who's too good for the under-23s?
I think it's an interesting one. Obviously, Jose Mourinho has been pushing in these cup competitions. He's been playing, a stronger 11 than what we're expected. The likes of Alex Ferguson used to rotate, used to bring the youth players in. But Mourinho seems really pumped up to win the FA Cup, win the League Cup and win the Europa League. Players like Tuanzebe, maybe it's time for a little loan spell. Maybe low end of the Premier League, top end of the Championship. Just get him a bit of football, because we've got some good depth at the moment at centre-half, with Rojo playing quite well, Phil Jones looking absolutely brilliant at the moment, and Chris Smalling coming back from injury. So I think loan might be a better move for Tuanzebe, Alson. But what do you reckon?
I think Axel Tuanzebe is a world-class potential footballer, undoubtedly. I love watching him play, and he is far too good for the under-23s. Matthew is absolutely correct there, that he's far too good for it. With the likes of Nathan Ake just being recalled by Chelsea from Bournemouth, that's the sort of place that I think he could really go in and get 10, 15 games in before the end of the season. But it's just not going to happen. Jose is not going to allow any of these lads to go out on loan. But he's not going to play them in the first team either. The under-23 league seems to have gotten away from us because of the lack of strength in depth that we've got in. I mean, if you want a midfielder or a defender, no problem. We've got absolutely tons of them. But wingers and strikers and people that are going to actually impact on a game in the under-23s, we don't have any of them. And because of that, we're sort of hoarding a load of players and then playing central midfielders and defensive midfielders up front and as wingers. And it's frustrating to watch, and it's not doing the development of these lads any good whatsoever. Jose's made his first team, and the likes of Fosu Mensah and Rashford snuck in ahead of the cut. But the likes of Tuanzebe and Riley and Goss and others who are right on the cusp of that, they didn't make the cut. But you've got to allow these lads to go out and get experience on loan if you're not going to play them. Now, Goss and Tuanzebe have been called up to the first team for training. I just don't think he's going to play them, though.
I think that's a fair point. I think those two players are especially, I think they need minutes. They need minutes playing football. You look at the impact of players in the Premier League, the young players that actually get game time, they massively improve. And these players have great potential. Tuanzebe as well. What a talent he is. So good. He's pretty much, a complete defender. Obviously, you've spoken loads about him, Halson. But when I saw him, very, very impressed with his maturity and how he brings the ball out of the back. And he's very calm. And that's good for a young defender, is to be calm. Because we've seen defenders in the past that have not been calm in those sort of situations. So I'd like to see them go out on loan, definitely. But first team, I quite like Jose's use of his first team squad at the moment. So I'm not too bothered about the youth. I think the likes of Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford, two very exciting. Jess Lingard, who's youngish, who have made the squad and have played well so far. So maybe it's time for Jose to send those lads on loan and just keep keep the format that he's sort of pushing at the moment.
I think there might be some sort of opportunity post the transfer window, because if you look at the squad management so far, and I think you're right, his treatment of Anthony Martial was great, and his agent criticised it a little bit, but look how good Anthony Martial's playing. I think he's doing the exact same sort of thing with Luke Shaw. Now, his agent's not happy about it, but I think Jose took him out of the limelight and he's gone, listen, work on yourself. When Luke Shaw comes back, I expect wonders from what we've seen already. Look what he did with Phil Jones. Phil Jones wasn't given any opportunity at the start of the season and then just popped into the team. Everyone was like, what's going on here? And he's kept himself in the team on the back of some excellent performances. And then when you listen to what Jose Mourinho said, he goes, when I got here, he wasn't ready. We worked with him individually. There's what you've got. So I am happy with Jose Mourinho's squad management. Always want to see more youngsters coming through. Against Reading, we saw Wayne Rooney equal Sir Bobby Charlton's phenomenal record of 249 goals for Manchester United. Do you think he's going to get the opportunity to break that against Hull, or do you think he's going to be rested and left for the Liverpool game, or do you think it's going to come at some point later in the month or later in the season?
I reckon Rooney won't play the Liverpool game. I reckon United will go back to the sort of 4-3-3 and have that midfield three of Pogba, Herrera, Carrick. Bossing it there, and then two wide players that potentially might do a bit more with the ball at their feet. So I think United could have a little bit more possession in that game against Liverpool. Against Hull, though, I think that's where the record is going to be broken. It's going to be Hull City, and I think Rooney will score. He was absolutely fantastic against Reading. I thought he was back to his creative best. The goal sort of settled him down a bit. He looks a little bit nervy in front of goal in recent weeks, and he looked still after he scored. But in terms of his creativity, created 5 chances against Reading. That was 2 more than the entire Reading team managed combined. So he had an absolute great game there, and I loved how his movement was so good in terms of where the attackers were. If Marcus Rashford dropped wide or went deep, Rooney went to the striker position. If Juan Mata came in, Rooney vacated that number 10 position. And if Anthony Martial moved into that position, Rooney went out wide left. And it's that maturity and that knowledge of the game that Wayne Rooney's always going to have. And that's why he's still an asset for Manchester United.
Absolutely, yeah. And I do think that he probably will play against Hull. Although I still would play him against Liverpool. I think this sort of game is going to be... It is going to be an unreal atmosphere at Old Trafford for that Liverpool game. And I think that's the sort of place where Wayne Rooney can still come in. And his understanding of these games, his grounding in these, he is the club captain. He is including Carrick as well. Carrick might be older, but Rooney is the longest serving member of this team. That is the sort of player that you need in derbies like this. And where Liverpool are potentially going to come unstuck is a lack of experience in those games. So I think he's going to play against Hull, but I also would play him against Liverpool for it. So for me, I think this record's going at Hull, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him put some daylight in between him as well. I'd like to see him in that number 10 role where he was so effective, I thought, against Reading, with Marcus ahead of him, with Massa on the side. And like you said, there was so much fluidity across that forward four. It was great to watch. And we caused Reading all sorts of problems. They didn't know who to pick up. Marcus Rashford and Marshall was doing all the running at the players. But when you've got Mata and you've got Rooney, that's got the ability to find those passes and put those balls into the right areas. When you've got two speed merchants like Rashford and Marshall getting onto the end of them, we caused all sorts of problems. I think it'll be a slightly bit of a tweak side to that. I don't think we're going to see the exact same sort of players. But for me, Rooney in that 10, I'd be happy to see that. Speaking of which, do you want to give us your starting 11 for the Hull match?
So in terms of my side, it's quite difficult to pick what Mourinho's going to do because he has been rotating. He's been playing his strongest teams in the Europa League, in the League Cup. So I think I'm going to go for the strongest 11 right now, and that's David De Gea in goal. Going to go Valencia at right back, absolutely fantastic this season, up there with the top right backs in the Premier League. Going to go with Jones and Rojo. I think hopefully Rojo was brought off before he aggravated an injury, so he'll be fine for this game. And Phil Jones, what more do you want to say about him? Commanding, disciplined, doesn't look crazy, looks calm, which is perfect for Phil Jones. And I'm going to go Darmian at left back. I think that defensive cover will help in the game. Midfield three, I think Michael Carrick, Herrera and Pogba will be reunited. Obviously, Paul Pogba rested at the weekend with Ander Herrera, but Michael Carrick did play. That assist Michael Carrick put through for Marcus Rashford was unbelievable. First touch, absolutely fantastic out of his feet. Then the pass was brilliant. What a player Michael Carrick is. And, every time he plays, he's so calm. The players around him look so hyped. And he needs to be in this team, definitely. So maybe, like you're saying, get the calmness and sort of play it around and mix it up. In terms of the front three, this was the most difficult part for me for picking the team because Juan Mata's done very well in recent weeks. His impact against West Ham United and then against Reading, he was absolutely fantastic in that first half. Had more touches of the ball than any other player on the pitch in the first half and was really dominant at drifting to that left-hand side and combining with Anthony Martial. But I think it's going to be Mkhitaryan. I think Mkhitaryan maybe on that right-hand side and then Wayne Rooney on the left-hand side and Zlatan through the middle, and that's my team.
I don't think he's going to go quite as strong. I do think he's probably going to go for a 80-85% full-strength side, but I do think there's going to be one eye on that Liverpool game, and I think the importance that you've just mentioned there for that Liverpool game is going to be Michael Carrick and Mkhitaryan. So I think it's going to be strong, but not quite full strength. And I'll go through mine. So it's Big Dave in net. There's no surprises there. Valencia, who's been an absolute revelation in his wing-back role under Jose Mourinho. I'm going to go for Smalling and Blind. I'm going to take it back to Louis van Gaal times with Smalling and
going
Blind
old
as a
school
partnership. I don't know what the situation is with Rojo. I don't know if he's going to be ready or not. So I'm going to err on the side of caution and say he's probably not going to play. And I think Jones is very important. So I think I'm going to leave Jones out and keep him safe because we all know Phil Jones is half a second away from an injury at any point, at any time. So I'm going to wrap him up in cotton wool and I'm going to say, see you on Sunday, son. Midfield, I'm going to go for a midfield two and then I'm going to go for a 4-2-3-1 effectively. And this is what we haven't seen so far, so this could be completely experimental, which means it's probably not going to go off like this. But I'd go with Bastian and Paul Pogba as my midfield two. It's a little bit attacking, but I think Hull aren't going to offer us too much. We don't really need to worry about them hitting us much on the counter. I think we're going to dominate the game, and I think we're going to win the game. And that means that the forward three is going to be Rashford on the left-hand side, Lingard on the right-hand side with Rooney in the 10 behind Zlatan. So that's where the strengths come in. Resting a few players. I think Mkhitaryan's going to be vital. I think Carrick's going to be vital. I think Pogba and Zlatan are also going to play, but I think there's 6 games in between this game and the Liverpool game. So I think that's ample time for these lads to rest. So I'm going to mix it up a little bit. What do you reckon about that for a starting 11?
I think that midfield too could be interesting. Bastian Schweinsteiger played all of his good football with someone very energetic next to him. You think of Sami Khedira for Germany, but do I think he's going to start him? Probably not. I'd like to see it. Because what Bastian did last season when he was playing, when he was fit, was fantastic. That was the only problem, that he wasn't fit enough. We all know that. And this season, obviously, the issues with Mourinho. That could be quite an interesting, tasty midfield. Bastian Holding dictating the play and Paul Pogba linking with those three players. Maybe a little bit too attacking, like you're saying. Who, will Bastian be able to hold as well as someone like Michael Carrick? Maybe, not maybe. It could be quite an interesting
I don't think he probably is, no. I don't think he will hold as well as Michael Carrick holds. But I'm trying to find an alternative to elongate how long Carrick's going to be in the season. I think Schneiderlin would have been the ideal candidate, or possibly even Fosu-Mensah, but I just think that they're too far away from the start. I think the pecking order at the moment stands with Bastian Schweinsteiger, or possibly even Fellaini being at the top of that. But I don't think Fellaini would be trusted to hold that on his own. I think Bastian's organisation skills probably put him ahead of him for that.
We did see, though, Hull away. Bastian, I thought that we did see at Hull away that Marouane Fellaini was actually quite good. He played quite well next to Paul Pogba and broke Hull up quite well and was drifting over and protecting Daley Blind, who was playing centre-back that day. So maybe Mourinho will go for him. He didn't have a too bad game against Reading, went on that absolute wonderful run, Paul Pogba-esque run through the centre of the park. He did play pretty well, to be fair.
Well, the whole Stretford end around me was like, who the bloody hell's that there in Fellaini's shirt? What's he doing? Right, talk to me about Hull. What are they going to offer us? And what do you know about the new boss?
So Marco Silva, he's had a stint in Portugal, Sporting Lisbon, probably the team that all you guys know, and then Olympiacos over in Greece. And his win record over there is pretty tasty for a manager. They went on to win 79% of the games that he managed over in Greece. In terms of what he's done with Hull, obviously his style of football, his play isn't quite in there. He started with a 4-3-3, moved to a 3-5-2. But what you've got to look out for in Hull, of course, it's Robert Snodgrass. This season, he's been absolutely fantastic. In the Premier League, he's been directly involved in 53% of Hull's goals. He scored 7 goals and got 2 assists. So he's definitely someone to watch out for from set pieces as well. So United need to be disciplined. A few times this season, United are giving silly fouls away near their box, either on the left-hand side, centrally on the right-hand side. They need to not do that against Snodgrass because he's someone that can absolutely punish you from a dead ball situation.
I don't know if any of you guys seen this, and let us know in the comments if you did, but you see Paul Merson at the weekend being absolutely ridiculous, talking about the new Hull manager, and be like, I can go and win over there in Olympiacos and all the rest of it. Well, it's not just coming from Olympiacos. What he did at Sporting, he was averaging 1.93 points per game, which is title-winning sort of standard for the amount of average points per game, and he did it with Sporting. He's moved over to Olympiacos, and it was like, oh, Johnny Fodder is coming over here taking Englishmen's jobs. That's what it sounded like, and you're like, hang on, mate. Honestly, how's this guy got a job for Sky? Him and Phil Thompson both piled in. But the Hull manager, the guy's worked his way up from the bottom. He's proved it in 2 different countries, and now he's come to the Premier League, which is the most popular league in the world. So actually, Paul, I think he probably does know a thing or two about the Premier League. And if he's that bad at the job, why didn't you apply for the job if you think you're better than him? Absolutely pathetic. Going on that, all these British managers have spent money on doing coaching courses and they won't give them an opportunity because they all just want to dive straight in at the Premier League. This lad's worked from the top, deserves a little bit of respect. Paul Merson, bang out of order. Anyway, that's enough of that. Dave, give me your score prediction.
Going to go 4-0 to Manchester United. I think it's going to be a big win for United at Old Trafford. I think it's going to be a good game.
I'm going to say 3-0. I'm going to say Rooney breaks the record and Zlatan gets a couple, and that'll do us, I think. Anyway, what's your guys' score predictions? Since it's only me and Dave, you might as well come and join us. Get your score predictions in below. And you might have forgot, but we're also running a league table for Predict the Team. Dave at the moment is top with 10 points. We've got me and Andy Tate tied on 8 points. John Shin, he's on 7. Adam McCullough and Paul from Rankcast pulling up the rear on 4 points. So who's got it? You guys can play along as well. Get your teams in below. And then, can you remember what you've already got? Has anyone got 11 out of 11? Be surprised if anyone's still on a perfect score. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to go and give Dave a follow. Make sure to go and give me a follow. We'll see you at the Hull game if you're there on Tuesday. Laters.